Alright, in this tutorial we're gonna add the vector icons to our build. So in order to do that, well, let me clean up my mess at the moment because there's a lot of stuff open that you don't really need to see. We're gonna be working with this, and we're gonna be adding the vector icons. So I went ahead and this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be implementing this package, and it's called vector icons. And you can follow the how to install it for Android and for iOS. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing it inside our React Native application. So it says installation, run, npm install, save React Native vector icons. So you would take this, copy it to your clipboard, then go over here, open up your terminal. I have my terminal opened over here, but this is more for my testing, to see the logs and everything. And this is for the Git repo. This repo is available in my channel, in my GitHub account. It is Javi Vilchis as a repo in GitHub, and I'm gonna be placing the link in the messages section or in the description section of this video. So since I already did the installation, but in here you can post it in here and then go ahead and install it, but I don't need to install it anymore. I already installed it, and you can tell by going into the package, and you see I have installed React Native vector icons. So essentially this is what you need to do, and then you need to link everything so you can see it in both Android and iOS. But if you haven't done so, then you can just go ahead and do the npx React Native link, and also go inside the iOS folder and run your pods. Basically what you would do, I'm already inside the iOS folder, so I would just come in here and say pod install, and press enter, and that will basically make sure that all your pods are synced, and that way everything is all plugged in. However, in iOS it requires to do something else in the whole thing, because otherwise if you run it like this, if you build the app in the simulator, it would not show, it would actually give you an error, and it will be a conflicting error because you have the current version of React Native actually adds the items into a separate folder called assets, and that's not how they wanted us to update, in the or how they don't want us to install the vectors. Instead, you're gonna have to go into your build inside Xcode, and then you're going to need to add the fonts provided by application section, and then you're going to have to add manually all these fonts and stuff, and we'll go through it. Another one of the things you need to do is you have to create a React Native .config.js and copy this code and place it in here. So we're gonna do this first. So we're gonna go to our build, and we're gonna create in the root directory, we're gonna create this file react-native.config.js, and we're gonna insert what we copied from this. You don't have to do anything, you just copy it like it is, and it will work. So like you see, like if you want to read it, it basically says, okay, dependencies for React Native icons on their inside iOS don't do anything basically. So once that's done, you can go ahead and close it. You can leave it, and then we're gonna open the project inside Xcode. So once we are inside Xcode, you're gonna come over to your build, or to the tree over here, and you're gonna select this folder, and it's gonna give you it would give you it will show it to you like this. So you need to expand on the first item, not on the pods, but on the first item, and then you would see it like this. You would click under the first item in the tree, and this is where all your information happens. So you're gonna need to create a folder. So you're gonna need to right click or open this this menu and then create a new group. Once you create a new group, then you name it fonts, and what you're gonna do, you're gonna import or drag all the fonts from the module we just installed called React Native. So I am going to, excuse my mess, I'm going to my build, and it is that. Then I go to my node modules, and I'm looking for the vector React Native vector icons module. So we're gonna scroll until we find it, React Native vector icons. So we go here, and then we go to and find look for the fonts folder. And if you're gonna use all of them, all the different types of fonts, then you copy all of them, you select them all, and then you drag them inside of this folder. So now you have all of the different fonts that you can use to generate any vector icons, and yeah, they're going to be available. But before they are available, you need to plug them into the whole environment. And to do that, we're going to go in the info file, and in here in the information property list, you're going to have to create a new folder or a new item. And the way you do it is by going highlighting that, and you see this plus sign, you click it, and once that is clicked, you give this name of fonts provided by application. Once that is done, you're gonna have to add each individual item, and by the way of clicking on this plus button and then going here and placing in the name of each of the fonts just like they are. The way I do it is by going here, I have this side by side, and then I have my this thing on the side, and so I just highlight the whole thing, copy it, come over here and enter it. It is a long process, but you get there eventually. So yeah. So after that, you are done. So we're gonna go back over here. We run the install once more, and then do the linking and do the pod install. Then you come back to Xcode and you run the project again. Once that is done, and then you're not gonna see anything, but you just want it to work basically. So once you're done with that, then you come over to your source folder, and I have been using my index screen to bring in anything. So now that we have these installed, so we're gonna go over here and look at the examples on how to bring in the any vector icon. And you can read through all of this. This is more like for if, in case you wanna have a different way of setting. This is still like, in the installation process. And the icon component, this is what we want to look at. So it says you can either use one of the bundle icons above or roll your own custom font. We're not doing our custom font, but instead we're using Font Awesome. And let's just copy, you bring in the import. By the way, you can name it whatever you want. I mean, you can name it, awesome. And then in here you would call, awesome equal name equals rocket, blah, blah, blah. And so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna copy this item, and I'll show you why. We are already imported the plugin, and now we're ready to use the icons inside our JSX, and with the name of icon, and it's gonna be a Font Awesome. So like I said, I already copied the item, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do this, and let's see what it does. So I added a rocket, and there's a rocket. So this gives you a lot of flexibility into whatever you want to do. You can change the color, you can declare it in a style and declare it that way. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. But now that we know that everything is working, you can use the logos or the vector icons anywhere. And what else? Let's see. So yeah, so in the blog item, we are going to show you how to add the icon to the lead icon. So then we go to the blog screen, and so we imported icon from Font Awesome, and then we had our list of items showing over here, and this is where we add the icon, but we have to wrap it with a touchable opacity hook, so that we can attach a function and make it actionable. So you see it right there, and then we go into our blog. We have a blog post right here, and then we have our icon on the right side. And again, you can add the style to the icon or the color item. Let's add color and red. And so you can you can add styles. I would suggest doing it this way, just because you can control everything better and you don't have to mess with the JSX anymore. But you do have to declare the styles inside the icon itself. And I went ahead and added also the touchable opacity on press function to delete the items. And this is basically a little bit more the structure that we have been working on, as far as like using the context and using the context and using the data object. And so I'm just going to show you real quick how we added the delete blog post. So in the past, remember that we actually factored out the context into reducer, action, and initial state. This is, like I said, this is not needed, but I went ahead and did it just because it is easier to not having to do all of this over and over and over again in case we want to create another context. And so now that we don't have to deal with that, we can just focus on whatever is important, like deleting a blog post, for instance. So we create a blog reducer called delete blog post, and what this does is basically gets the ID from the blog post whenever we hit it, whenever we hit this button. And what it does, it translates into the context, ships it over, and looks for that one item inside our state. Our state has all the listed objects, all the listed items, and it looks for that one item. If it is inside the list of items, then it's going to do the action. So everything is all tied in with the dispatch. So like you see, like in the add blog post, we use dispatch, and what this does is it communicates what kind of action or what type of action that is, and we assign it to our block reducer, and that block reducer looks for whatever action needs to happen, and then it returns it back to the state. And I know it kind of doesn't make sense, but if you look at this is the function we're calling from our blog screen. See, delete blog post, and then we pass it in to our delete blog post, and this one has an argument of ID, which whenever we pass it to the type or the action type, it goes and first it looks for the state, and then it looks for the action, and that action, whenever we pass it, in this case is delete blog post, it looks for that switch, then it makes the call inside the state, it looks for that one item in the state, and in this case it will be the ID that we clicked on, and then it returns the value of that one. After that, it plugs it into the exports in the context and the provider, and sends it back with whatever we're wanting it to do. So again, this is all driven through the context info, and whenever you're doing all that, you're gonna have to bring in whatever action method you're looking for. So we have the add blog post, delete blog post, and eventually we're gonna create another one that is gonna be update blog post. So that is a lot to cover in this tutorial, but it is nice to see the whole thing working with icons and with updates and all this other stuff. That is pretty cool. So I hope that you understood what was going on, and we'll do more in the next time around. So thank you much.